Alrighty, kiddos. Today I'm going to do this little video for your the children. This is for beginning sewers, and this could be any age as long as they're supervised by a parent. You know, if they're under 12, I think they need to be supervised by a parent because you're going to be using scissors and needles and thread and paints. But basically, if they can hold a needle and thread and you feel that they can do this, they can hand sew these and do the little painting on them. So what these are is just little felt cookies, or you could, you know, they could be pillows for dolls, or just anything you want them to be. You can gift them to your friends at school. How neat would that be to give them a handmade Valentine instead of some store-bought card that they're probably going to get 5 or 10 just alike, right? So I'm going to go over the materials with you. And this is a really quick, simple project. You could make a whole bunch of these in a really short amount of time. So let's go over the materials that you need. I'm going to put these aside. What you're going to need is some felt. Now, for you mommies out there who are watching this felt I got for 23 cents a sheet at Walmart. The only thing I will tell you is that this is very temporary. This stuff tends to pick and fray really bad. So even after if you wash it, which I would recommend hand washing with cold water and mild soap, and then air drying, laying them flat to dry. But it's going to be a temporary thing because it's really not a material that will stay together. But it'd be fun to. It's really cheap, so you can get a whole bunch of it, or you can go buy the better felt that's sold by the yard, or even fleece to do these. But for this project, I wanted to get plenty of materials, and I was on a budget, so I got the 23 cents stuff. And if they're going to make them for classmates, this probably is a good idea, you know. And I've got some puff paints. Now, unfortunately, I went to 2 of my Walmart stores that were close to me, and I couldn't find any colors but blue, yellow, and white. And normally they have all the colors. Any color you could think of, they've got it. So if you can get more colors, definitely do that. And I got some different color threads just because it's fun. Everything doesn't have to match. It's, you know, that's the fun part of it. The more colorful it is, the more fun it is. Now, I also got a pack of hand sewing needles, and I got some rather blunt needles, which is a good idea if you've got really small ones who are going to be doing this project, or else you're going to be sticking some fingers a whole lot. So then you will need some pins. Got my little pin cushion here. And of course you're going to need some thread scissors and some scissors. And if you're not a regular seamstress, you may just have one pair of scissors. That'll do. But I have my little thread scissors and my little fabric scissors. So that's our materials. Now, you can see I already have some made here. And I'm going to set those aside. And I also have a couple cut out. And I'm just going to show you. You don't even need a pattern for this. You don't really need anything except maybe you want to get a piece of chalk. And so I'm going to take those and lay those aside, and I'm going to peel this sticker off. And you can see that it already starts to pull a little bit. So this side is going to be my wrong side, and I know that because I'm going to go ahead and lay it over like this. And I'm going to get a piece of chalk, and I'm going to draw a heart. And you don't have to do just hearts. You can do circles, you can do squares, you can make just any shape you want. But this, because Valentine's Day is coming up, I thought it would be fun to do hearts. So I've drawn my heart, and I know you guys probably can't see that very good on there, but I can. And I'm going to very carefully and very quickly cut this out, and then I'm going to use it as a pattern for the second one and cut that one out. Alright. So there you see I've got my 2 pieces for the top and the bottom of the cookie. And now we just need to cut out a topping, and I'm going to do, I think I'll do a white topping because I already have like a brown cookie with a pink, so we'll do white. And this I don't really make a pattern. I don't draw anything because obviously you can't on this anyway because it's white. But I'm going to just cut out a shape, and it looks a little smaller than this heart, so we should be good to go. And you're just cutting out a half a heart on the fold. And if you get it wrong the first time, you can always fix it, but I kind of like that, so I'm going to leave that just as it is. It's kind of cute that way. So what we do is we have our 2 pieces here for the 2 layers of the cookie, and then the topping, you know, the frosting or whatever. And I'm going to take my pin out, and I'm going to lay one of those aside and pin this to the top. Okay, so I've got a pin. I'm going to set it right here so you can see it. Now, I don't use floss, and I will tell you why, because I think it's kind of difficult to work with, the embroidery floss. I never did learn it very well, and it always got tangled up when I used it. My mom tried to show me how to use it, and I was a little hard-headed, so I prefer to use just regular sewing thread, cotton thread, and what I do is I will double it up, and that's really easy to do. You just roll out twice as much as you will need. You kind of want to do an estimate. You don't need a lot for this topping of the little heart here, but then you will fold it over. I'll show you. I know you can't hardly see it on here, but I'll pull the thread out and then I'll come back and show you what I've done. Okay, so I mean, you might have to use your imagination a little bit with this, because I know it's hard to see this thread on here. Probably should have used a darker color. These are the 2 ends of the thread, and the other end is folded. So I'm folding these ends together, and I'm going to straighten it out so that I don't get any knots, and you can't see it because it's kind of a long piece. But I've got this piece here, and I'm going to take my little thread scissors and clip it. So when you clip it, you give it a nice clean end so that you can get it through the needle. And then I'm going to lick my fingers. Yucky, right? Make sure your hands are clean. I'm going to lick my fingers, and I'm going to wet that thread a little bit. And you younger ones will not have as much trouble as I do seeing. Sorry about that, I about knocked the camera over. But I'm going to take the eye of the needle, and I'm going to push both of those pieces of thread through there. And see, now I have it even at the end here. And you can see I've got a looped end where I folded it over. And I've got an open end from that fold. So I'm going to wrap it around my finger, and you just need to do it once. 2 fingers is better so that you can get this end through there. Okay. And then we just pull it into a good knot. And we're going to cut a tail close to that knot. We're not going to cut the knot, but we're going to take it and cut really close tail right there. For you mommies, it's about a 1/2 inch tail so that it stays in place. Now what I'm going to do with this, let's see this one that I did. I basically just did a stitch along, like, I'm going to start here at the bottom. See, I'm just making a line, and then I want to go up a little bit. We don't have to put them right beside each other. You want to pull it, but don't pull it too tight, because this is felt and you will pull right through it. Might even tear it. If you get a knot like that, just stop and pull it out when you feel that knot coming. Okay, so you see I've got a few done, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish mine, but I'm going to go really fast. You guys will have to go normal speed the way I did with this one, but with some camera magic I'm going to do this really fast. Alright kiddos, so we are down to our last couple of stitches, and I'm going to show you how to knot this off. You always have to knot off your sewing when you're done, or else it's not going to stay there for, you know, any period of time. The first time you wash it, the thread's going to trickle loose like a little snake climbing out of those little stitches, and you're not going to have your project anymore. So I've got all my stitches done on the top of this. I can take this needle out, and what I'm going to do is turn it over, and you see all of those stitches that I have on the back. Now what I want to do is, with this thread with the needle in it, I'm going to go through this last stitch, but I'm not going to go through the felt. I'm just going to go through the stitch, and the way I like to do it is to come through this way again. And now we have a place to make a knot. So we're going to go through again, and we're going to make this loop really small so that we can thread this needle through it at least 3 times. You don't really need to do any more than that because it'll start to knot up when you go to pull it, and you will have too much of a loop there. You want that loop to disappear and turn into a knot. See, I didn't do it right. So if that happens the way I did it, yeah, us grown-ups make boo-boos sometimes. What I'm going to do is go through that loop again, and this time I'm going to be sure that that knot completes. That's okay. We don't want to cut that off though. We want to keep that. So I'm going to go through this again. And we're going to make sure that our loop is really tiny this time, and we're going to loop through 3 times. Pull it and make a knot, and there we go. We've got our knot. Now we want to make a little bit of a tail. We don't want to cut it all the way to the knot because it might come undone. We're just going to leave a little bit of a tail, about double the size of your fingernail. It's about the size of my fingernail because I've got these fake nails on, but about twice the size of your fingernail is about how long you want the tail to be. So now we've got that, and we have this other piece, and what we're going to do is put these together. Okay, so we've got our 2 layers together, and what we're going to do is just put a pin through the middle of it. You don't need to pin it all the way around. Your hand sewing, and it's fairly small, so you can just hold it. And I can't grab a hold of it. I have a needle here that I've threaded, double threaded, just like I showed you in the first part, with brown thread. And I kind of like for this to match, but if you want it to be colorful, more power to you, go ahead. Okay, so what we're going to do is this first top of the heart, we're going to take the needle and put it through it. And this is a little tricky. I'm never sure how to do this one, so my first stitch is always a little messy, but it's okay. So I go through here, and don't pull that knot through. It can pull through if you're not careful. And we're going to go right back up through the same place we came through, and then we're going to make a stitch over here. And this one's a little bit trickier because each time you stitch, you want to take this other end of the thread and put it on this side of the needle. And then you want to pull it till it's nice and taut, and then you do it again. And you're going to do that all the way around the heart. And again, I'm going to do it really fast, but you guys are going to have to do it in real time. Okay guys, so you see we have to stop here now because we need to stuff this, and that's one of the things that you'll need that I forgot to tell you. But you're going to want to get a bag of some polyfill. It's really soft and it feels like clouds. So what we're going to do is I left a little space open, and I'm not going to take big giant wads of this because we don't want to, you know, unless you want a big fat cookie, but you might bust the seams too. So you start a little bit at a time, and you just use your fingers to poke it down in there, and you poke all the way over to the other lump on the heart, the one that's already been sewn in on the opposite side, and you just push it in there a little bit. You don't need to force it. You don't want to overstuff it. It's just a cookie. It's not going to be a cupcake. Then we're going to stuff the other side of the heart. Put a little bit, I'm grabbing pins and everything else in here. You're going to put a little bit more in the middle. And then what you do is you continue on with your stitch. So now I barely have an opening there, and I'm just going to take a tiny bit of stuffing because I know it needs it. we want to close this all the way up. We're going to get all the way around to that first stitch, and we're going to make our final little blanket stitch. And then what we're going to do is through this stitch right here, any stitch closest to the needle, it's no particular order. Just make sure my thread is pulled all the way through. You want to go back again through it. You're going to get a little loop in there, and you're going to thread through that loop at least 2 to 3 times. 2, 3, and then close that knot up. And now what I do is, so that I can make a nice tail on my thread, is I go through this without going through the outside of the material until I can see that needle. What the smell was now. Daisy, come over here and turn my iron off. I figured out what the smell was coming from. Okay, so until I see that needle inside there, and I'm going to pull it out, but I'm not going to pull it tight, and I'm going to clip it. That way there's a tail of thread in there and it doesn't get pulled loose, or the knot doesn't come out. So, and then we just kind of flatten it with our hands, and there's our little heart. Now you can pick your favorite color of paint, which I would really like to have had pink, but all I have is yellow, white, and blue, and I've already done blue, so I think I'm going to do yellow, because white on white might not, you know, it probably won't show up very well. And you can do any design on this you want. You can do little sprinkles, like I did this one here. You can do little ziggy lines. You can write. So it's just up to you. You know, the little candy hearts you get for Valentine's Day, you could write love you or be mine or whatever floats your boat on there. And I'm just gonna, I got a scrap piece of paper over here, and I'm gonna test it out before I go putting it on the heart. So then you want to set it somewhere where it won't get squished or stepped on or touched or whatever, and let it dry for at least 1 whole day. That means when you go to bed and you get back up, then you can check on it, or have mommy check it and make sure that the paint is good and dry. And then you can play with it, gift it, or whatever you want to do with it. It's just up to you. So I hope you little guys and gals enjoyed this little sewing tutorial. Stay tuned for our next one. Peace, y'all. Bye-bye.